I have written about this in my book, Nine Things You Simply Must Do to Succeed in Love and Life. One of them, one of the nine that I wrote about, is called Hate Well. Hate well. Hate? Hate? That's not a good thing. Hate is what we feel. Well, no, it certainly doesn't feel good. But we do feel it. And we in part feel it because we are created in the something called the likeness of our creator. That God made us to be like him, and we are to live out that likeness. And here's something we know about God. God loves and God hates. Pretty clear. Says it all the time. The difference in us and God, though, is God is holy, which means a bunch of stuff, but let's just call it good. He hates well. And when he hates, it serves a purpose and it has a good outcome. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit because it is very important to your character formation and to your success in life and your relationships, the way in which you hate. And if you don't think that every human being comes into the earth wired for hate, go just pick up a newborn at the hospital and say, let me go take care of this this little baby for a few days. You're going to run into some hate. If that's not hate, I don't know what it looks like. They are enraged with hate, and it doesn't, you can see it in their face. It's not like a baby has a great day. Well, it wasn't a great day, but it was okay. No, it's like, right? Well, that's cute in a baby. It's not cute in a 40-year-old. It's ugly. That's not hating well. So what is this saying called hatred? Well, let's start with one of the things that hatred does is hatred protects what is good. See, the emotion, it's really not an emotion, it's a state. It's a total organismic state. The whole organism, all of you, your mind, your heart, your psychology, your right? It's a state. You see people go into states of rage, not angry feelings, but states. Okay. Well, this is a drive, kind of like, you can look at it that way, but it's there to push against and to protect the good and push against. It's an against emotion. We talk about very primitive personalities have a for and an against orientation to life. You see this in the media every day. You see it at your Thanksgiving dinner. Somebody brings up a topic. Now we got the two sides, for and against. And if you're not with me, I'm against you. Right? It's for and against. Well, that's not very mature. But the emotion that they are not using well, that hatred, it can be used well, but it's in us basically for that purpose, to push against and to protect what's good and push against what's bad. Now, there's a number of reasons why that's important. I want to get to a verse here, one of my favorite verses, and read it to you. There's a number of reasons why it's important that when we hate something, Romans tells us, what chapter is that? Romans 12, I think, ish, where one of my favorite verses, it says, hate what is evil and love what is good. Now, before we get to what you do with that and how you do it well, basically this pushing against something in character formation, it is a differentiating emotion. So when there are, this is how values in part are created, that there are things that we differentiate from. We have a, what we call in psychological development for children, we have a not me experience. Well, that's not me. And you see little kids going, no, no. And what are they saying? That's not me. I'm not for that. Now, obviously, sometimes it's immature and sometimes it's wrong, and they're hating the wrong things like broccoli, right? But the function is to differentiate from and say, that is not me. Now, if we are doing that well, then we are developing who we are, our identity. What we love and hate is in part who we are. Now, again, I'm not talking about how you handle it. I'm not talking about becoming a hateful person. We're going to get into that. I'm not talking about, because we stand against like hate speech and acts of hatred and crimes of hatred and all that. All of that, that's not good. But I'm talking about the function, because actually to hate a hate crime is to stand against it in a good way, right? So the hatred is just a differentiating aspect of human function. So listen to this about God. Here's one of my favorites. We talk about, what's God like? Well, who do you want to be friends with? You say, hey, I want you to meet my buddy over here, Joe. Well, what's Joe like? Well, Joe likes fishing and hunting. And of course, I'm kind of describing some of my friends that I like golf and like to have good steak. And I could go on. If you want to be my friend, I can give you a whole list of stuff that works. But then he says, he really spends a lot of time fighting human trafficking. Spends a lot of time fighting the whatever dark forces in the community. Spends a lot of time fighting poverty, for example. See, these are the things that Joe would hate. And then we start to get a picture of who Joe is. Whoa, I like this guy. He's against some things. And see, once we push against them, then we know I'm not for them. And then we start to figure out who we are vis-a-vis these other things. And then we also can begin to take steps, if we hate well, to actually become a problem solver. Boy, that'd be a good thing. But see, people aren't hating well today. But let's get back to what it does. It shows us who a person is. So my buddy Joe describes some things Joe likes, and you go, whoa, I like that person. Describe some things Joe hates: poverty, injustice, human trafficking, oppression. I like this guy. One of the things that makes me saddest on the every day I walk the earth is people don't know God. They think they do. They reject him all the time, thinking some caricature of who he is, like he's some religious weirdo. He's not even religious at all. Religion came and kind of replaced him. He's a person. Let me tell you what my buddy is like, and you can tell by what he hates. So, one of my favorite passages out of Proverbs. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. He hates these things. Are you ready to meet somebody pretty cool? Narcissism and judgmentalism. Translated, haughty eyes. First thing he hates is haughty eyes. Haughty, above, people that put themselves above other people and look down on people. God hates that. Don't you? Yeah, doesn't feel good. It's gross. Second one, a lying tongue. What does it feel like to be lied to? How do you have a relationship when somebody's lying? You can't. You're standing on quicksand. Another thing God hates: hands that shed innocent blood, people that hurt innocent people. I mean, how many different categories are there for that? Another thing God hates, a heart that devises wicked schemes. You ever known a schemer developing schemes to do stuff that is not good? Putting thought in it? How about this? Feet that are quick to rush into evil. Some people are just impulsively. There's no regulation. Just impulsively, just go do bad things. How about this? A false witness who pours out lies. Anybody ever lied about you? It's horrible. It's it's terrible. It's so terrible that if you have any kind of you're out there doing anything of value, the critics and people make up stuff. I have read stuff. Oh, I don't even want to go into it. I mean, yeah, ugh, not even close to true. Not even close to true. People just make up stuff. Ugh, it's horrible. You ever had a family member do that to another family member? Say something about you wasn't true? False witness? God hates when that happens. And then here's the last one. A person who stirs up conflict in the community, divisive people. You've seen this in your extended family. Somebody's upset with somebody and they call somebody else and start to stir up things. That's my friend. How do we know what he's like? By what he hates. Okay, so that's kind of the what and the purpose. Well, where do we go from there? Well, what do we do with it? Well, one of the things we know about God that becomes our goal in life is to be integrated or whole. And what that means is that your hatred is integrated with the other parts of you, like your love and like your values and like your impulse control and like your planning and your strategies and your judgment and your wisdom. So there are people that hate, but they hate subjectively instead of objectively. In other words, they're walking around in their hate factories. You can see it spewing out of them. You can see it if they get cut off on the freeway. You can see it when they're just see something they don't like. You can see it when they hear a political opinion from the other side. You can see it when they in the venom. I mean, it just comes out and it's subjective and they go into rages and they scream at each other. Wow, a lot of problems get solved there, don't they? No, they don't, because they're not hating well. Now, they may be hating very good things to hate. But see, that's a subjective, unformed, immature character. When we hate objectively, that's when we begin to define what is it? Haughty eyes. I don't like haughty eyes. And so what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to objectively name the issue and not scream and hate the person. And I'm going to say to the person in all love and trying to help an objective kind of feedback for it, like one of my favorite verses where Jesus isn't nuking anybody. He says, look, guys, don't judge. Don't judge other people. Judge yourself first, work out your own issues first. And then you can actually be helpful to step into the things that you hate. So stop judging the judgmental people. Because we're just like them when we do that. But if we name it and then we talk about it in love, hate what is evil, but love what is good. So what's good? Galatians 6:1. When somebody is in one of these problems, then we go and restore them gently, humbly, looking to ourselves first, it says, so that we might realize that we're just like them in some ways. And so we can't be haughty above anybody who's haughty. Duh. But we can restore them gently. So get in touch with what you hate. And don't let the list be too long. Not 63,000 things on this list. God, I know some people that just everything is an issue. Oh my gosh. I love my, well, actually, it's my life verse, Micah 6:8. It says this: "It has been shown to you, oh mankind," God said, paraphrase, "Look, humans, I told you what I care about." He said, three things: to love mercy, all that means to be kind, to be forgiving, to be nice, to care, to help people when they're hurting. Number one. Number two, to do justice, to treat people fairly and stand up for what's right and all the righteousness and honesty and fairness and all that. Be loving, be just. And the third thing is to walk humbly with God. Don't be God. And to draw from Him. God says that's pretty much the whole thing. But good night. Some people run around hating everything. Pick out a few things that really matter and then hate them objectively, not subjectively. Hate them well instead of going on a rampage that doesn't solve anything. So let's stop hating people on the other side of whatever our opinion is that we're looking at with haughty eyes or through haughty eyes. And let's talk about issues that are important and how we can be problem solvers instead of haters. And the hardest one, don't hate the haters. One of my favorite verses. Bless those who persecute you. The only way we're going to overcome it. All right.